I genuinely cannot believe this game exists, honestly. And I know that sounds dramatic, considering I've only played around an hour and 20 minutes. But seriously, this feels like the exact game my childhood self would have dreamed up after playing LEGO Batman 2. Ever since this game was first rumoured, I was completely sold. By the time the trailers came out, honestly, they didn't even need to convince me. The second I heard people saying TT Games might be making another licensed LEGO game, specifically a Batman game inspired by the Arkham series, I immediately lost my mind. Because just listen to that pitch for a second. You take the classic LEGO formula that we all grew up with, breaking props, collecting studs, dumb physical comedy, chaotic combat, puzzles, all the stuff that we all know and love. And then you blend that together with the Arkham games. Suddenly, a LEGO Batman game now has free-flow combat, stealth takedowns, gliding, grappling, and movement inspired by some of the best superhero games ever made. After my first hour and 20 minutes with the Legacy of the Dark Knight, I already feel like TT Games have entered a completely new era. Now, obviously, this isn't a full review. I mean, just look at the length of this video, or even the title. I've barely scratched the surface of the game so far. I can't fully judge the open world, and there's so many mechanics I still haven't unlocked. But even with that limited playtime, this game has already left a massive impression on me. This is easily the best looking LEGO game TT Games has ever made. The character models are ridiculously high quality. You can see the plastic seams, the shine on the LEGO pieces, and the serial numbers printed onto each part. But what surprised me the most was actually the environments. Older LEGO games, even ones I absolutely love, like LEGO City Undercover, often had environments that felt pretty simplistic visually. The LEGO objects looked great, but the surrounding world usually just felt like a backdrop. Something to just never pay attention to, even if it looked nice. But here, both the LEGO and the more traditionally rendered environments look fantastic, as well as the lighting, which has had a huge upgrade. The camera angle, as you can see, has also shifted into a more modern third-person perspective, and within minutes it became obvious that this wasn't just another LEGO game following the exact same formula from 10 years ago. This feels like the next evolution of what the Skywalker saga started. That game felt like TT Games experimenting with a new direction, and this game feels like it's the refined version of that. Even traversal immediately stood out to me, because it fixes one of the biggest issues I've always had with older LEGO games: movement. Movement used to feel weirdly slow sometimes. Things like balance beams, ledge hanging, and climbing animations absolutely killed the pacing in older titles, especially if you replayed levels over and over for that sweet 100% completion. But here, Bruce absolutely flies through traversal. The grappling hook reaches surprisingly far, and instantly pulls you towards ledges before automatically lifting you up. Balance beams and railings both are climbed quickly and smoothly, and even the precise jumping sections have been streamlined so you keep your momentum a little more. There was also one moment during a stealth section that genuinely made me stop and think, holy shit, LEGO games can do this now. I tried jumping over an obstacle to avoid an enemy, expecting Bruce to just bounce off it like older LEGO games probably would have done. Instead, he grabbed the ledge and climbed over it. That might sound like a tiny thing to people who don't play many LEGO games, or any for that matter, but that change specifically completely changes how fluid the game feels. For years, LEGO games operated on this unspoken rule where if something wasn't made of LEGO, you most likely couldn't interact with it. Or it would have had an invisible barrier around it. But now you can climb traditionally rendered objects and move through environments in ways that feel more natural. It really does feel like we're watching LEGO games evolving in real time, and it makes me so happy. Then there's the combat. And before you say it, yeah, this is very clearly inspired by Arkham. You've got free-flow combat, counters, dodges, environmental interactions, and slow-motion finishes on the final enemy. Batman can also vault over enemies, stun them before unleashing rapid beatdowns, and on the fourth hit of a combo, he can literally launch enemies across the room, and if they hit an object, it explodes into LEGO pieces. Not only that, but overall, it just feels amazing. The combat definitely feels a bit slow, especially in comparison to Arkham, But I think that's more because I'm just so used to how absurdly fast those games became over time. Even within my short play session though, the game was constantly introducing new combat mechanics and additions. So already it feels like the system is expanding. More importantly than anything else, it captures the fantasy of being Batman. But despite all of this, the game truly feels like Lego. That might be the thing that I'm most impressed by, because this could have very easily felt tonally awkward. After all, you're still dealing with Bruce Wayne's parents being murdered, all while the characters are making jokes and breaking apart into piles of bricks. But yeah, I mean, it works. The opening scenes surrounding Bruce's parents still carry emotional weight, even with the bits of Lego humour mixed in. I actually really love that balance because it reminds me of the older Batman cartoons and movies that introduced so many people to the character in the first place. Serious enough to feel emotionally engaging, but still light enough for younger audiences. The developers clearly love Batman because the references packed into this game are insane. The Iceberg Lounge, for example, is the same one from The Batman, the Pattinson one. The twin bouncers from that movie are also there. During this scene, Bruce also wears an outfit from Batman Begins, the one with the nice coat that he gives to a homeless man. Falcone directly references dialogue from Batman Begins.
I came here to show you that
Not everyone in Gotham is afraid of you.
only those who know me, kid. Look around you. You'll see two
Two
constables,
detectives, a cop, and a judge.
a couple off-duty cops, and a judge.
Penguin sounds similar to Danny DeVito's version of the character.
Everything seems to be under control here, officer.
These are the names of the firstborn sons of Gotham City.
And then Ra's al Ghul starts dropping Batman Begin quotes, as well as making a Taken reference, because Liam Neeson.
I have a particular set of skills.
And this was all from one goddamn scene. It never feels forced either. The devs clearly know their shit, and they clearly love all things Batman. Honestly, the more that I've sat here thinking about this game and writing these thoughts down, the more emotional this whole thing has weirdly become for me. Because this isn't just another Lego game for me. Lego Batman specifically is such a massive part of my childhood and many, many others. Officially, Lego Star Wars was my first Lego game, but Lego Batman 1 and especially Lego Batman 2 were the games that completely consumed me when I was younger. I remember begging my parents to get Lego Batman 2 for me. I remember finally getting it, and I remember sitting down in the living room playing it with my dad. Those memories are burned into my brain. So sitting here now, 14 years later, playing another Lego Batman game that has me as excited as that game is so unreal. It makes me feel like a kid again, not just because it's a Lego game, but because it celebrates all of the Batman media that I grew up alongside. Arkham, the Nolan movies, the animated shows, classic Lego humor, all of it blends together into something that weirdly feels like the culmination of my entire childhood. That's why this game hits so much harder for me than the Skywalker Saga did. I loved that game, and I was unbelievably excited for it, but Batman is different for me. Lego Batman as a series is fully ingrained into my DNA at this point, and I think that TT Games clearly understands that the audience who grew up with these games are older now. But instead of abandoning the OG fans for younger audiences, they've found this really impressive middle ground where the games can evolve mechanically and tonally while still remaining accessible for kids. Personally, I think that's exactly what LEGO games needed. That being said though, I actually don't want every future LEGO game to play exactly like this. What makes Legacy of the Dark Knight special is how specifically tailored it feels to Batman. The Arkham-inspired combat and traversal work because they fit Batman perfectly. Going forward, I think TT Games should continue evolving the games differently depending on the universe they're adapting. The Skywalker Saga, for example, feels way different to this, and I think that's a good thing, because if every LEGO game suddenly became LEGO Arkham, this Batman game would lose so much of its uniqueness, and of all the things that they've created, this game specifically needs to stay special. But if this becomes the blueprint for how TT Games approaches ambition, their presentation and gameplay evolution going forward, then the future of LEGO games is incredibly exciting. And the craziest part is something I've already mentioned. Again, I've only played an hour and 20 minutes, so yeah, All of this and all of my thoughts come from just my initial impressions. That should tell you how special this game is. So, to finish this very quick video, I just want to talk about a few more small changes. Missions, or sections, are way longer. My entire game time so far has been from the death of Bruce's parents right up until he gets back to Wayne Manor after training with Ra's. And that section of the game was cut up into a prologue and 2 missions on the mountain top training with the League of Shadows. Another change is the removal of the true superhero goal for collecting enough studs. Or at least that's not a thing so far. It might come up later, and maybe the missions later in the game will be smaller, but I don't know yet. Anyway, there seems to only be a total studs collected counter in the top right. Alongside this, gold bricks are now skill bricks instead, and there's much less of them. Mini-kits also seem to have been replaced by Batcave customization items. This change I actually really love. You still have to destroy 5 of the same objects, but this time, after doing that, you get the object as a customization option for the Batcave. Red bricks are still here though, and they are exactly how they always have been, and I have found one, but I don't know yet how to activate it, so I will report back in the next video. Oh, and there's also much less characters to play as. As far as I'm aware, there's just 7, which I won't spoil for you if you want to play the game yourself. But all the character collection comes from skins instead of actual characters, which is another thing I don't mind at all, especially considering there's like 100+ skins for Batman. And one of them is Absolute Batman, which I am currently reading right now, so I am extra hyped to unlock. Well, I want to get this video out on the official release day, so I need to get to work. And if you're seeing this on May 22nd, then I have succeeded. Even if you're not seeing it on May 22nd, I probably still succeeded. So with all that being said, I will let you all get to playing this amazing game. I really hope you enjoy it as much as me, because I am absolutely in love with it. But if you have played it already, let me know what you think in the comments and, do all that regular YouTube stuff. Let's get this video to as many views as Bruce Wayne has dollars.